In today's video, we're talking all about Bethesda. Rumor has it that their job listings are pointing towards their expanding of their major open world games. Of course, they've got 2 major open world games in development, and they've got a bunch of other projects in development as well. Doom Eternal is just a little ways away, and then we also have the announcement of the Elder Scrolls Online's latest expansion in Greymoor. That is looking rather compelling, and that'll be out later this year, so we'll talk that at the end of this video, but focusing all on Bethesda as they've got a lot of stuff going on right now. So it's been a while since E3 of 2018. Studio head Todd Howard confirmed that the developer had 2 projects in the works, specifically Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6. However, we haven't heard much of those games since E3 of 2018. Personally speaking, I thought going back to E3 of 2018, it was way too early to announce those titles. The Elder Scrolls 6 was a long ways away, and Starfield, while it's coming sooner and we know that's going to be the first game coming, that's still a long ways away as well. I mean, it's 2020 and we haven't heard anything about the game. Maybe it'll be out this year. And while we do know that Starfield is coming first, we've never really been given a timeline. It's always been assumed that it'll end up being a next-gen release, and I think that goes without saying. Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 were both identified as next-generation experiences, so that's really what we're expecting. However, as new job listings suggest, Starfield could be closer to completion than we had initially thought. Bethesda is now looking to hire for a number of positions. It wants, quote, talented programmers to join our team that is pushing the bleeding edge of RPG development for the PC and consoles. Coupled with that is a listing for an experienced, creative, and energetic video editor. You would think that the former listing is for the Elder Scrolls 6 and the latter is for Starfield. Potentially, as Push Square illustrates, this could mean that Bethesda is in the process of ramping up recruitment for Skyrim's successor with the Elder Scrolls 6 as Starfield moves into its final stages of development. I don't think Starfield right now would be at per se their final stages of development, but you would have to think that that game is getting closer and closer to completion, because if it's not out in 2020, which I feel like that's a very, very unlikely scenario where Starfield would be released this year, it has to come out in 2021, because then you would have to think you gotta be setting the table for the Elder Scrolls 6. This generation was entirely void of a brand new Elder Scrolls title. The last time we saw one was the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Of course, we got a bunch of re-releases, and that's been the reoccurring gag with Skyrim, is it's been released on just about every platform. It came out on PS3, but then it came out on PS4 in its definitive form, then it came out on PlayStation VR. Oh, by the way, then we had the Nintendo Switch version. They released that game a lot of time and they milked it for all it was worth, and I understand why. The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim was a game that people were willing to buy multiple times, but it's now time to move on to that next open world experience. And while the next one isn't going to be Elder Scrolls 6, rather it's going to be Starfield, this brand new IP, I am incredibly excited for that, and I think Starfield is going to have an inherent amount of excitement because it's coming from Bethesda's open world team, and they're trying to do something different. They're trying to do something really compelling. And again, at this point, based on the job listings, it's only speculation, but it does start to make sense when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture and how Bethesda typically does things. It's been a long time since we've gotten a full-fledged game release for them. Of course, we got Fallout 76 back in 2018. That was a little bit of a train wreck. Fallout 4 came out back in 2015, and all things considered, Fallout 4 had a little bit of a mixed reception. It was received okay, but not at the level of a Fallout 3 or even a Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout New Vegas is one of those games that really aged well over time. Which, by the way, if we can get 84 re-releases of Skyrim, why haven't we gotten re-releases of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas? Doesn't that seem like a license to print money? But nonetheless, what do I know? I just know that those games would sell really, really well, and I definitely want to know what you guys make of this. Could we see Starfield come sometime in 2020, or, as I mentioned before, is it more likely that we see this game in 2021? I could see it being, you know, sometime mid-2021, late 2021. Later in the year really does make a lot of sense, as Bethesda has traditionally released all of their open world games in the latter portion of the year. You actually look at all of them, and I believe, yeah, all of them. I think Oblivion was in the latter portion. I believe Fallout 3 was, New Vegas was, Fallout 4 was, Fallout 76 was, Skyrim was. I mean, with Skyrim, who could forget the 11/11/11 release date? But nonetheless, good to see that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 Bethesda is expanding and hiring for those projects, and hopefully they are coming out along nicely. A game we know for sure is coming along nicely because it's out very soon is Doom Eternal, and we've gotten some new information about that. Doom Eternal is only a couple short months away. Fingers crossed that there isn't another delay, because this was one of the many games in recent months that has been delayed. This was originally scheduled for November of last year, pushed back until March, and a new round of previews and footage has made its way online. Before we get into into the specific details, GameSpot did have Doom Eternal's new hub uploaded, so you can check that out as well. Doom Eternal is a much larger and more complex game than the 2016 Doom reboot, but just how much bigger is it? Well, the folks at Video Game Chronicle asked Doom Eternal executive producer Marty Stratton about the game, and here's what was said. Quote, "It's about double the size of Doom 2016. Our levels are bigger than they've ever been. We have double the amount of demons, and from the beginning to end, you're going to experience things that are always new. I refer to this as a sort of the game version of a page-turner. Even down to the last boss fight, you're gonna see things that you hadn't up until that point. One way id Software is gonna keep you page-turning is by keeping Doom Eternal's gameplay varied. As part of that philosophy, it seems that they're gonna be keeping a surprising amount of platforming in the game." Noting, quote, "What was a monotonous arena hallway progression, we now get to break up with these fun platforming type puzzles. We don't overdo it, they're all fairly simple, but it breaks up the gameplay enough that I think it keeps, in combination with everything else, the tighter mechanics, the visuals, it keeps players engaged." And that's very exciting for me to hear. While some people might look at the term puzzles and get a little scoffed at the notion given that this is Doom, I really point to a game like Uncharted, and Uncharted has a phenomenal method of keeping the player engaged by incredible pacing. When it gets a little bit too action heavy, when they're going a little bit too over the top, they reel things back. Maybe they'll give you a puzzle, maybe they'll give you platforming sequences, whatever the case may be, but that game and franchise does an incredible job of keeping the player engaged. And if more games want to take a page out of that book and keep varied gameplay mechanics implemented so the game always feels fresh, it always feels authentic, it always feels new, that's something I can always get behind. And there's also definitely a little bit of Metroid in that as well. I should probably use that comparison point because Metroid is probably a little bit more comparable to Doom, but nonetheless, Doom Eternal raises hell on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Google Stadia on March 20th. A Nintendo Switch version is also slated to come sometime later in the year. Going to be interesting to see how they bring that to Switch, but they were able to bring the 2016 reboot to Switch while compromising on a couple of things, so it'll be interesting to see how they bring that game over to Switch, as well as Doom Eternal does look to be twice the size of the 2016 reboot. And lastly, circling back to the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor, part of the Dark Heart of Skyrim year-long adventure, will be out soon. The latest expansion for the Elder Scrolls Online is due out for PC and Mac on May 18th and Xbox One and PlayStation 4 on June 2nd. A Stadia version is also planned. Greymoor notes an ancient evil emerges from the depths, intent on devouring the souls of Skyrim. A dark tide of monsters rise from Backreach and threatens to plunge all of Tamriel into darkness. In the Dark Heart of Skyrim, you can experience a new year-long adventure beginning with the upcoming Harrowstorm DLC, dungeon packing, and continuing through the Greymoor chapter and beyond. You can experience the entire massive story in these upcoming releases. You've got the Harrowstorm DLC dungeon pack, the Greymoor chapter, and then they're also talking about an unannounced Q3 DLC dungeon pack, and then an unannounced Q4 DLC story zone. Keep an eye for more updates on this new year-long epic soon, starting with Harrowstorm. With Harrowstorm, they note the Dark Heart of Skyrim storyline begins with the Harrowstorm Dungeon DLC, kicking off as soon as this February, featuring 2 new dungeons. Harrowstorm has you contend with Supernatural Storm and Ice Reach, and explore the depths of Unhallowed Grave as you discover the dark forces that threaten Skyrim. The events of this DLC will lead directly into the Greymoor chapter. The Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor, on the other hand, supernatural Harrowstorms plague Western Skyrim, and dark beasts led by a powerful vampire lord devour souls to further their mysterious plans. In the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor, the Elder Scrolls Online's newest chapter, you must defend and besiege Nords and uncover the evil behind the monstrous resurgence. This chapter brings all new adventures to the Elder Scrolls Online players, including a new zone to explore in Western Skyrim, a gothic main story questline that ties into the Dark Heart of Skyrim adventure, an intriguing new system in Antiquities, a massive new 12-player trial, new world events in Harrowstorms, new delves, public dungeons, and standalone quest updates and quality of life improvements, including a rework of the vampire skill line. That is going to be free for all ESO players, and they also note the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor is coming to PC and Mac again on May 18th, Xbox One, PS4 on June 2nd, and you can pre-purchase Greymoor right now for PC, Mac, and Xbox One. It's coming soon to the PlayStation Store, and in addition, they also announced that Greymoor will be coming to Stadia, so a lot is coming with the inclusion of Greymoor. They also go in-depth on everything noted, a gothic tale, antiquity systems, what you get for pre-purchasing the game, and uncovering the Dark Heart within Greymoor, so this looks to be a massive expansion to the Elder Scrolls Online, which has been making strides over the last few years, and one of the few MMOs that is still persisting to these days. I mean, it's hard to break into the MMO market, but ESO has definitely done that alongside games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV being some of the major MMOs on the market today. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, it looks like Bethesda is expanding in order to support the Elder Scrolls 6 as well as Starfield development. Hopefully, Starfield Starfield is nearing completion on development on that, as I do want to see a brand new Bethesda open world game. And do keep in mind that coming up on this year's E3, you would have to think that either Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6, probably Starfield as it's the game coming first, would be the imperative focus. Last year it was Doom Eternal. By the time of E3 2020, Doom Eternal would have already been released. Starfield has to take center stage because that is their major game. And speaking of Doom Eternal, that game is looking to be twice the size of the 2016 reboot, and the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor expansion has been announced. It's coming to consoles on June 2nd. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.